sir. Why did you buy a new Mustang?
Well, you know, there are lots of reasons.
Well, why?
Well, you know, it's got kind of a gutsy look.
Got a two-tongue weight from my hairline to my backbone, and it's dragging me around, but I don't listen. All your critics on red, mind your own business. That's right. Better run red lights. Now watch me fly. Got an angel to my left, devil to my right. We're going down. Hit the road, Jack. Won't come back, no. You can tie me.
Hey everybody, this is Danny with Legendary Muscle, and today I'm here with James and his 1967 Mustang Fastback. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
So James, I'm looking at your Mustang, and this isn't your typical Mustang. You want to tell us about it?
It's a 67 Shelby tribute car. It was originally an S-code car, which didn't have the hood on it and the extensions here, the scoops on the side, and the rear deck.
Okay.
We converted it as a tribute car.
Okay. That's a really nice looking tribute car you got there. So looking at it, I mean, it does look a little different even for a tribute car. You want to explain that?
Well, the fiberglass that's on it was the stuff that was actually used in the Shelby, real Shelby. So, you know, as far as that's concerned, it's pretty much the same. In 67, they did not put the louvers on the hood. And I added those to help the air get out from under it, to cool it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's pretty much stock as far as the look on the cars. The headlights, Shelby put the headlights in the center. Those are the high beams. These out here were the low beams.
Oh, okay.
In California, you had to move the high beams to the outer side because they were too close together. But otherwise, the car is pretty much, if you put it beside a Shelby, you'd think it was pretty close.
Oh, it does look
Now,
pretty good.
the rear end in this car, the rear panel, has got a 68 trim panel instead of the 67. The 67 had Thunderbird and the 68 had Mercury Cougar, and they were sequential.
Oh, okay. So this has the Mercury Cougar ones,
Right. It's a mix.
Nice. And this color is really nice in it. What is this color?
It's called Acapulco Blue. The boy that painted it for me said it was a little bit too dark, so he brightened it up so it's got a little bit more pizzazz to it.
Gotcha.
So it kind of pops.
Oh, nice. The car, I bet, was it like this when you got it, or how did? Let me ask you first. How did you get this car?
I was looking for a 69 or 70 Mach 1. A friend of mine restored Mustangs, and he had the car working on it for some other guys, and one of the two guys wanted to sell the car. It was probably 80% done to 90% done, and I bought it from him. It did not have an engine or transmission in it when I got it.
Okay.
The car was a drag car back then.
Oh, okay.
And I've converted it for the street and all. But it pretty much, fiberglass and all is on it, but I finished it out.
Okay. So didn't have a lot of rust?
No rust in it. I've had it repainted, and the boy that did it fixed any rust we had in it, but it was very, very little.
Okay.
But you know, the body is solid. The body is real solid.
Okay. So now I've noticed that stripe that they painted, it's kind of a ghostly looking stripe. And I noticed the KR in it. You want to tell the story of that?
It is a ghost stripe. It's gray. It's got ghost stripes over the hood too that you can't see. But Shelby in '67 built the GT350 and GT500. The 500s are the big block. In '68, he built a 350, a 500, and a 500 KR. The 500 had a 428 Police Interceptor in it, and the KR had a 428 Cobra Jet motor, I think it's right. But the reason they had the KR on it was Chevy was getting ready to come out with the King of the Road version of the Corvette, and Shelby one-upped them and came out with the KR version of the Mustang.
So take that.
Yeah, Shelby was like that, you know.
So now jumping into your interior, what do you got going on in there?
The car is on its fourth set of seats for me. It had the original 67 seats in it, and then I put a set of the 96 Cobra seats in it. And then we went to another one, and then we went to these last year. The interior, as far as the door panels, the rear, and all that, is the original type. It was a non-deluxe car.
Gotcha.
But it was a 4-speed car. Now it's got a 5-speed. But, you know, it's kind of like whenever I feel like doing something, I do something to it.
Okay.
Which has gotten me in trouble.
Yeah. And you have, what, after your gauges there?
The gauge package on the car, this car was originally had a tack in it.
Okay.
But Shelby had white face gauges on them. The stock gauges were black. There was a company out in California that made the replacement gauge.
Okay.
I ordered them from the JME Enterprises. It's got a white face gauges, got the high RPM tack on it, and 140, I think it's 140 mile an hour speedometer, which Shelby had done in the cars back then.
Okay. So now, brakes and suspension wise, what do you got going on in this car?
Front brakes are off of they're disc brakes, they're off of a Granada, which was an interchange. Rear brakes are standard. Suspension wise, we have gone through it. It's got a 1 1/8 inch front sway bar. It's got competition springs under the front. I've lowered the upper A-arm 1 inch, which drops the car down.
Okay.
It's got subframe connectors back to 5-leaf springs, which was not on this car. This car had 4 leaves on it.
Okay.
And we put the Shelby style traction bars up under it.
Gotcha.
And it's got a 3/4 inch rear bar.
Nice.
The front bar on this car and the fan shroud are originally off of a real 67 Fastback that was a friend of mine's.
There you go. So you can't say it doesn't have nothing original.
No, it does, you know. It like I said, it's an original S-code car, and the S-code car was the big block car.
Okay. So now your tires and rims, what do you got going on there?
Well, the I forget the size, but they're 225 60 15s under the front and 245 60 15s under the rear. I've got wider rims under the rear than under the front. I just gave it as much rubber as I thought I could get under it without having to redo the fender wells.
Okay.
In the recent years, I think the last 2 to 3 years, I have put power steering on it. The car did not have power steering on it, and they're front heavy.
Okay.
And you can't steer something that's heavy.
Exactly. And you said these were what, American racing rims, right?
Yeah, they're American racing rims. I think they're 10s under the rear, and I think 8s under the front. I think. I'd have to look back. But this is I think the third set of wheels I've had on it. I had a set of 14s that were Maxi lights, which was the American knockoff of mini lights. They were 8 spokes, looked like a Trans Am car in the 70s. And I had a set of torque thrust Ds under it, and then I went to these when I went to the larger.
All right, so what do you say we have a look at the engine?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
This is the power plant. It's a big block. It's got a 750 750 CFM Holly on it.
Okay.
It's got Edelbrock intake manifold. This is a aftermarket distributor that's a billet distributor. It's got Edelbrock heads. It's got Edelbrock intake water pump on it, and the car does have headers.
Okay.
Got a Mallory coil under it. I put the brace under it that's a little different than the stock one because it's a one piece instead of 2 singles.
Okay, yeah.
The back in there. That, like I told you earlier, this fan shroud is original equipment. And you'll love this. This is the overflow catch for the radiator. It is a Haviland oil can. Old school. And I put electronic ignition up under the front,
Okay.
to which it made it reliable, more reliable.
So how much horsepower do you say this is pushing out?
This one is 315 at the rear wheels.
Okay.
And I think it's 370 foot-pounds of torque. The original motor that was in it was a 12.5 to 1 compression motor, solid lifter cam. We decided to put a hydraulic cam and lower the compression ratio down to 10.5 to 1 for drivability,
Yeah.
period. And you know, the old engine in it would rev 6,500 RPMs, making horsepower the whole way. This one won't do it.
Okay. So what kind of transmission do you have backing up?
I've got a Tremec TKO transmission. It's a 5-speed. It's got 1 overdrive in it. Matter of fact, I bought that transmission out of a Celine race car.
Oh.
Boy
okay.
couldn't pull the 302 on the oval at Charlotte. It's going back to a 3.70 ring and pinion, which was built. The center carrier on the ring and pinion is Winston Cup.
Okay.
The boy that built it did work for Winston Cup. Matter of fact, the drive shaft is off. You can love this. Off of a dirt track car.
Oh.
I was able to buy the length I needed without having to go aftermarket for it.
That's nice. Okay.
It's in the Charlotte market where this car came from. There's a lot of stuff like that available.
Gotcha.
And if you know who it was and where to go, look, they'll help you with it.
And what kind of rear end do you say this has?
It's a 370 rear end. It's
370
Ford.
rear end.
It's got a Auburn locker in it, which is a cone locker instead of the traditional Detroit locker.
Gotcha. All right, so I think the only things left is us to take a ride in it.
Hey, okay. I'm willing if you are.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
That's pretty good. So what kind of mufflers are those? Those sound really nice.
They're Walker mufflers. They're called Hemi turbo mufflers. They are a little quieter than the Flowmasters
Okay.
of that era. This is a header into a 3-inch pipe, into an X pipe, and 2.5 out the back.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. So, I've noticed that these cars, they're getting very hard to come by nowadays.
I think there was like 53 to 55,000 made of the cars back then. There are a lot of them are being converted to what the Eleanor car, which was gone in 60 seconds.
Okay, the new one with Nicolas Cage, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that is a nice car too, but if you're going to turn all of them into that, then there's nothing left over.
No, there's not. You can buy aftermarket kit that you can build a whole new car from the ground up out of new parts.
Oh, okay.
It's not the same, but still, it keeps it alive.
And I've seen some people, they hack up the coupes,
Yep.
and they'll put the fastback rear end panels on it and make it into one. But,
One of my buddies sent me a picture of a 68 convertible with a big block in it. They made like 1 or 2 of those.
Wow. So, like these cars right now, when they came out with a large variety of them. They had the fastbacks, they had the convertibles,
And they had the coupe.
they had the coupes. And from what I was reading, in '66, I believe, Mustang with the combined convertibles, coupes, and fastbacks, their sales went like to 600,000 more or less that year.
I'm not sure how much it was, but it outsold everything in the market then. The thing with the car, it was a very versatile car. You could get anywhere from a 3-speed and an automatic, from a 200 cubic inch 6 up to a 390. They had, I think it was 302, 289 car engine in between. Those were basically the engine options. And they were good little cars.
Yeah,
They were versatile little cars.
So, I see all these signatures you got up here. Who are they?
Leah Pritchett, Don Garlitz, Shirley Muldowney, Bruce Larson, Richard Petty, Don the Snake Perdome,
Wow.
Roy Hill, Chris Karamessinis, several Top Fuel drivers and Pro Stock drivers and so forth. Every one of them at one time or another has driven a drag car.
Okay, that's cool. And looking at driving a drag car, isn't it? You told me that this car used to be dragged as well.
Yeah, I never saw it race though.
Okay. But you've had the car for like 27 years. When you look at your car after 27 years, what is the first thing that normally comes to mind, or the memory that comes to mind when you have a glance at your car?
A couple of things. One is the looks it gets from children as young as 5 and as old as 80. They love the car. And I've had a couple instances where I've been on the interstate, the state trooper, I'll see him coming, he'll slow down and drive by the car and then speed up and go for it and give me the thumbs up.
Oh, nice.
It's fun. I got stopped one night going home by a city policeman in Charlotte. He walked back to the car and said, "How fast you going?" I told him. He said, "Why didn't you slow down or pull over when I heard the siren?" I said, "Well, I wasn't sure because I was listening to an oldies station." As he talked and walked away from me, he said, "Man, I like your car," and gave me the thumbs up.
That's great.
You know, it gets good looks.
Yeah.
It's a fun car.
And I bet you when you go to car shows, you win quite a few events, huh?
Down here, I've been to the one at Hot Cars and Cats.
Okay.
I've been to the one at the tax collector. I love the one at the police department, which is cops and cars. And there's one over in Williston that I've gone to that supports the Catholic Church over there.
Okay.
This car has won trophies at just about every event it's been at.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I do appreciate the time you gave us. And do you have any special shout out you want to give to anybody?
Well, the guy that built the motor is Russell Wright. He's a Mustang guy from the word go and Ford guy. And Bob Faust up in North Carolina, who painted the car. He did an excellent job on the car, and especially to Julie, my other half. Can't do it without mentioning her.
Oh, yep. All right, so you guys heard it. If you like this episode, like and subscribe. From James, Danny, we'll see you guys later.
Got a two-tone